I couldn't even fathom turning 30, let alone 40. And it was really traumatic. So then you throw in a pandemic, you throw in grief, you throw in having to get all of your front teeth removed, extracted. And now physically, I don't know myself. Maybe they just don't know how to support me. But I think even if a stranger were to encounter me, I think they would handle me better than the people I consider my crew. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't start thinking about my 40s until I was about 39. Truthfully, no joke. And when I say 39, I mean like my birthday's in April, January of the year I'm about to turn 40. So like 3 months before my 40th birthday did I realize, oh my God, I'm about to turn 40. So that birthed this 40B40 movement. Then I did 40B41. Here we are doing 40B42 because so much of my 30s and my 20s, I did it up really big, but I didn't document it the way I wanted to document my life because I was such a people pleaser and bringing my camera around and recording things. The friends I was friends with at the time made me feel so self-conscious. Or the moments that I would record, I wouldn't post about it because of perception and people's opinions. I was just not in a good space mentally most of my mid 30s and late 20s. The reason I say those two parts of my life because my late 20s, I lost someone super close to me unexpectedly. And that was one of the first moments where I felt like I was 27. And it was one of those moments where I felt like, oh my God, like I have to grow up. I have to get my ish together. Because at that time, if you go back on some of my archived videos, older videos, they're not archived. I talked about how I was even now looking back, I wasn't even in that much debt, but my car was repossessed. I was laid off and rehired. I hated my job even when I was rehired. And I just didn't know what to do with my life at 27. And I don't think you should know exactly what you want to do, but you should definitely have a strong idea of the route you want to take and be willing to take action on that sooner than later. I think my mistake was I was just living in the moment most of the time and I had no direction or I didn't know what a why was. Like having my why, I didn't have a strong why. All I knew was wake up, go to work, party, wake up, go to work, party, family time, friends time, wake up, go to work, party, right? It was fun, don't get me wrong. And I started traveling in my 30s after that big loss. Even a decade prior to that major loss, I had 2 other major losses of the person I'm named after and my grandpa back to back. So navigating that in my teenage years honestly made me afraid of life and getting old. It really did. And I couldn't even fathom turning 30, let alone 40. So thank God, I thank God every day for every second of the day. Having gone through those losses early in my life, and there were more, I don't even want to get into it, but there were more. It forced me to grow up in a way that I don't think most teenagers or young adults had to. So when I got an ounce of freedom in the real world to party, I'm skipping the whole church stint that I had. But first of all, I am grateful for that stint because some of my closest friends were from that era of my life. But also some of my worst friends and memories. But hey, what's life without a few hiccups and bad friends, right? Or moments for you to be a bad friend. I've been a bad friend. But those losses, I think they really, it made life difficult only because I couldn't relate to a lot of people. Because for me, if I was your friend, like, we're friends, right? Like, you're down for me. And when I was making friends with people that were transactional or centered in things that I was not, or consumed with things that I was not, or they were partying or drinking, this was early on, I just couldn't relate because I was just like, I don't want to do that with my life, right? But I also had no direction. I had no idea of what I did want to do. I just knew that, hey, we're here. Let's live it up. Live in la vida loca, right? In the moment. So I let people plan my life and I would just tag along. And I was always like the third or fourth wheel or the friend that could fit anywhere. You know, I still am. But now I have a little bit more, a lot more consideration for myself and the things that I desire to do. But that went on for years. And as I was approaching 30, that was the first time after losing my uncle that I realized, dang, like, not only do you have to prepare like for life, but you also have to prepare for the afterlife. Like, dang, like this, like getting life insurance was a big choice at 27. That was probably the first real like adult decision I made, but I was still making crappy decisions after that. But fast forward to 31, that's when I started to really get my ish together and starting to think about more. What does more look like? What does my future look like? Because I hadn't considered my future ever. And I started to see people that I used to work with move on and get other jobs or start families and buy homes. And that caused space and distance between our friendships. So now my dynamics have shifted and, you know, yeah, I'm meeting new friends and making new friends, you know, outside, and I started promoting parties. So my environment changed as well and my priorities changed, and I was deep in the party life, but after a while it wore off and I wanted more. It was the first time I'd even traveled out the country, going to India. So getting to experience life from a different lens, I was like, I came back to work most of those times like feeling empty, feeling like, I don't think I'm doing this whole life thing right. I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be doing all the time. And I don't think these are the people I'm supposed to be surrounding myself with. So what do I do? And it definitely involved changing my habits. And I'm so grateful that I did, because after quitting my job, after realizing there were more important things in life than a job, and tying my worth and my value to a job or to a paycheck, it made making life choices so much easier for me. Even when I was still a little indecisive, I realized my why. There's a why to why I'm doing any of this. I saw the other side of a 9-to-5. I saw what self-employment looked like. I saw what being present for family at any given moment looked like, because fast forward to 2018, I'm getting news about other family members. And in 2019, my grandma passes away. And that's someone that I didn't realize I relied on so much emotionally until she left. And mind you, I didn't tell her everything I was doing in my life. I didn't tell her all of even the good or the bad, like the important things, yes. But it was just going into her room and just sitting in a chair like this while she watched her shows. I did my work, or I just watched her watching her shows, or you know, listening to her pray, watching her pray, her kicking me out so she can pray. Like, I swear, like, I am blessed because of the strength and the power of my grandmother's prayers, like both of them, my Nana and my abuela, who I lost in 2022. And that was another pivotal moment, because I realized at that point, like now, you know, I'm grieving. Now there's a pandemic, and then my abuela passes away, and I'm realizing that people in my life are not supporting me the way that I need to be supported in this moment. but I also don't want to be disappointed. So I kind of closed myself off as well, because I'm afraid that my emotions would get rejected again because of all the past losses that I did have. And it wasn't cared, they weren't cared, I wasn't cared for in the way that I just assumed I would be cared for in those moments. Like, I just felt like it was common sense. Like, if someone loses someone, that you just consider them a little extra. You have a little bit more compassion or understanding for their choices, and you check in with them a little bit more. And that was my own fault for assuming that. So that's why we don't assume, right? Because it makes an ASS out of you and me. After losing my abuela in 2022, that kind of was like the final straw in my shift in being, no, that was the final straw in me starting to self-sabotage. And I woke up in a sense, because around 2023 is when it all of my emotions that I was suppressing just rushed to the surface. And one day I just uncontrollably just started crying. And I was having one of those just moments of like, I'm about to be 40 next year. I am so sad. I am so depressed. I hate my business. I hate my career. I hate everything. I hated everything. I'd also had to get my teeth done. And that was so brutal to go through. It was so depressing. I know I keep talking about I'm gonna document my teeth journey, but I think it was just so emotional that now that I'm on the other side of it 3 years later, I couldn't have documented it in the moment because it was so heavy. And I was dealing with emotions and experiences that I'd never gone through, especially when you're going to a dentist where you're supposed to be safe and you're supposed to feel like they're going to take care of you, and they didn't. I was flabbergasted. My gasted was flabbered. And it was really traumatic. So then you throw in a pandemic, you throw in grief, you throw in having to get all of your front teeth removed, extracted. And now physically, I don't know myself. And then the teeth that they replace it with don't look great at first. And now I'm insecure. It feels loose. Like this year, there were just so many problems with my teeth that first year that once I had that big release at the top of 2023, and I said enough is enough. Like, I need to make bolder decisions again and change my life, because I'm surrounding myself with people that don't really support me, or maybe they just don't know how to support me. But I think even if a stranger were to encounter me, I think they would handle me better than the people I consider my crew. So I need to start making some shifts. If I don't like my business, what am I going to do about it? I had gotten certified as a life coach. I really enjoyed the process of coaching. I need to start taking that serious. I'm about to turn 40 next year. This is in 2023. What does turning 40 look like now? Like, what are some chapters in my life I need to close? And what are some doors and paths and chapters that I need to start working towards opening or living in, finishing those out. So I really got to work. That was 2023 when I was 39. And the ideas started to bubble of like 40. But it wasn't like, I honestly I barely remember 2023. I have to look at my photo catalog to even recall what I did that year, who I was, I know who I was hanging out with, but did I travel? Like it is such a distant memory. And like, I'm so different from who I was then to now. And that was just 3 years ago, that I'm so grateful that towards the end of 39, I made those conscious choices, because I was so unconscious and just unaware of what I was doing and things I was drinking a lot. I was partying more. was making a fool out of myself. I can definitely recall some of those moments. But 2024, the beginning of that year, 3 months before I'm turning 40, I knew that big change was ahead. I could feel it intuitively, energetically. I knew a big shift was happening. I just didn't know what I could do about it, or what I needed to do about it, or what was going to happen.